Hello, beloveds. I I'm just sitting here. I just finished recording a podcast with a colleague, dear friend of mine, and something is sparking in me that I want to speak about briefly, and that is enchanting your life. So everything is alive with divine energy. Everything is vibrating with some measure of grace, love, light, intelligence, whatever language we want to put on that. And when we know that and we give that permission and we choose to amplify that, things transform. And so, like, the plant next to me, the desk behind me, the walls of this room, the plants out in the courtyard, be outside of my office, they're alive, and they're alive with divine energy. The walls, the molecules, everything is alive because it's all light. And when we see it as such, and when we activate it by our seeing and our knowing, and by our willingness, then we begin to enter into a greater experience of the co-creation of life and of amplification of beauty, where everything begins to work with us in harmony to create what serves, and not with us, our ego self, but with soul. Like what we're doing when we're enchanting our life in this way, by seeing the divine and calling it forward and giving it permission, we're saying that there's a higher intelligence running through all things, including me. And I want to amplify that. I want to tune to that frequency. I want to give that permission to move my world in the ways that my world might want to be moved. I want to allow grace in every form to touch my life. And so this is about really noticing, where have you not done that? In other words, what are the places in your life where you haven't noticed the divine spark, given it permission, and chosen to amplify it? So I'm going to give an example of something that I was noticing for myself today as I was preparing for the podcast, and I was thinking about the way in which I might be called to utilize social media to let people know that I was interviewed on this podcast, etc. I felt something rise up in me. And whatever I felt rise up in me is something that prior to today I might have called a little bit of a love-hate relationship with social media. And as I was preparing and in the thinking and in the divine space, because I carved out and called forth that divine space today in preparation, I felt this little message. And the message was, is there some reason you haven't enchanted, and another word I use is sanctified, your relationship to social media? Is there a reason why that isn't part of the enchanted life, the soul life? And so I began to open myself and say, I'll be on social media to the extent and if and when I'm called. And whatever magic wants to happen there will happen there through me. And because of that, listening, and because I've sanctified it. And it will, because I've sanctified it, move out in whatever way it's meant to move out, whatever ripples are meant to be created. And it won't in the ways that it's not meant to. And I don't have to worry about what I do or don't like about social media, or how people, I think, have become addicted to it in ways that doesn't serve, etc. That's not my business. My business is, if I'm meant to be there, that I'm sanctifying that space, I'm enchanting it, I'm letting it be alive with grace, and I am, by my seeing of it, co-creating that beauty. And so there might be places in your life, maybe your health, or maybe a particular relationship, or Maybe your relationship with computers or technology or your garden. There might be places in your life that you haven't consciously, intentionally chosen to enchant that, to bring that into the divine embrace, to allow a sacred relationship to unfold, to allow yourself to be part of calling forward the beauty. Another example I'll give is in space. When I move into a space that I'm going to utilize, either because I'm going to work there or teach a class there or live there, I literally will touch the walls and I will say, I see you, and I call you forward. I ask you to wake up. And this is what I'm intending to create. And I want to support you in being your grandest self as well. Let's work together. And I think people feel it when they walk into my spaces. They feel that the space itself is nourishing because it's been activated. It's been enchanted. We get to live enchanted lives. We get to live lives where everything is in the sacred flow. Even the things that might be perceived as hard or bad or difficult, also in the sacred flow. One of the things that caused me to do this video, if you're still here, it's a little bit of a long video, is that as we tried to record the podcast first on one platform, that wasn't working, so we went to another platform, that wasn't working, went back to the other platform, that wasn't working, went back to the other platform, that wasn't working. We just was like, okay, something's trying to happen. And the something that was trying to happen was that Spirit was wanting myself and my dear friend, colleague, to attune to what wanted to be created through us, to let go of the structure of whatever that podcast was in our awareness, or in her awareness, it's her podcast, going to be, and allow it to be whatever it wanted to be. And that required us to be stopped as soon as we calibrated to that. There wasn't one interruption in the recording. It went all the way. I think we recorded an hour and a half of video. Whether we'll use it all or not, or whether she'll choose to use it all or not, is another thing. But one of the questions that she asked is, how did I orient around something good was happening? And like, her thought was initially that maybe we were about to bring so much light that something was interfering. And my thought was, Spirit wants our attention. Something's trying to happen. Some magic is trying to be created here. And the premise is that life is happening for me. And that premise in part comes from the fact that I've created that I have quite literally enchanted my life, given everything in my world permission to support the becoming that wants to happen. And so when something looks like a roadblock, I know it's part of that. And that can be a small thing like little platforms not working, or a big thing like the significant car accident I was in 4 years ago. Life is happening to support my sacred unfolding. And life is happening to support your sacred unfolding. And you have a role to play in that, and that is to enchant your life, to see that, to know that, to give it permission, and to help wake it up. All right, beloveds, have a beautiful day. Sending you so much love.